All right. Hello, once again, everybody. My name is Bob Turner, and this is the Summit Podcast. I'm pretty excited today. We went back in time. We got ourselves a young person on the podcast. None of these 50-year-olds anymore. No, I'm just kidding. We're sitting here with Abbey Hagen. She's from Dallas, Texas. She's a bit of a foodie. So I'm interested to see how this conversation is going to go. She's originally from Austin. She's a friend of my daughter's. And last week we got connected, and I said, hey, I got hearing about what she was doing. I said, you should be on my podcast. She said, oh my God, I would love to. So we're making it happen today. So Abbey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. A podcast is such a bucket list thing for me. But about myself, so I'm from Austin, Texas, but I grew up kind of all over the world, really. Did a brief stint in Hong Kong when I was younger with my family, and then really claim Austin as home because middle school and high school was spent there. But I think living abroad is where I really got my love of food and how you could bond with the culture. So went there and then went to college in Alabama, went to San Francisco for a few years, and then ended up in Dallas a couple years ago and have been documenting my food along the way for the last 8 years. So that's a little bit
Yeah,
about
it's
me.
it's, it's pretty cool. Like I don't know what I might have seen it. I don't know how it happened, but I saw Abby's Appetite, right? And
Yeah.
and Bailey, you guys all work off one another. Hey, follow this, follow
Mhm.
that. So tell me about Abby's Appetite. What's going on with that?
So I started it in college, my sophomore year of college, really just as a way for me to document what I was cooking, where I was eating. I come from a really food obsessed family, so we're all very, very
Me
into
too.
food.
We just
Yeah.
eat.
So just love to eat, love it all. And
Yeah.
so I think being away from college, my parents would follow it. They would see what I was cooking, what I was eating, and it was just something fun for us to talk about. But through it, I used to have a YouTube channel when I was younger, and I've always been interested in media and the editing of a video and things like that. And so I think as I outgrew my YouTube stint and kind of I did like a fashion makeup situation, I transitioned into food, and it was just a way for me to still be creative in college and just cook and have fun and document it. And then the last probably 2 years is when I started taking it more seriously and making reels and really making it a true hobby of mine. So it really just started out as a food journal, and now it's probably my biggest personality trait. I just love
That's
talking about it. I love sharing it, and it's just really fun for me.
So you travel around. I noticed you went to a burger place, right? And you
Yes.
found out the burger. So when you do that and you post about it, do you interact with the business? Do you tag them? Are they appreciative of it? And
I
are you
always try to. So I'll tag them and then I'll normally message them and I'll post it on my story. And then sometimes they'll repost it. Actually, I should say a lot of the time they do, which is really nice. So I always try to write back and say, like, thank you. I really want to come back soon. I actually, one of the chefs here in Dallas at Via Triosi, she follows me on Instagram. And the last time I was in there, she recognized me and we talked. So that was really fun. So I always do try to get as in touch with the restaurant as I can, especially if it's an amazing experience. I want them to know how great it was.
yeah?
So yeah, typically I always try to get in touch with them.
So you're coming from a place of positivity. So I'll ask the question: what happens if you go somewhere and it's terrible?
I typically don't if
Leave it alone.
I I'll post about it, but I won't tag them. So I'll
Yeah.
normally if there's like a new trendy spot or something that I go to that
Right.
I think just kind of sucked, I'll post it on my story and say like
Yeah.
I went here and it wasn't good. But I
Yeah.
could never tag them. It would make me feel so bad because everybody
Right.
has an off night, you know?
Sure.
So I'll say stuff like that, but I won't make a whole video being like, here was my horrible experiance and
Right.
tag them and
Yeah.
do the whole thing. Normally
So
just keep it to stories or
yeah.
not say anything at all.
Yeah, you don't. You don't want to be out there being negative or just saying you're not a photo like a journalist, and you're not out trying to make a splash by
No,
taking
yeah,
somebody
it's
home.
just, everybody has an off night and it can be bad and somebody else it can be their favorite restaurant. So it is what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, absolutely. So this is a side hustle, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what's your 9 to 5?
So my 9 to 5, I'm actually a jewelry designer and I work for Fossil, the watch and leathers company.
Okay.
I do all of the men's jewelry design and merchandising. So I went to college for fashion retail. I always wanted to go into corporate retail. So I knew that that would be my path. And that's what led me to San Francisco. So I was working at Restoration Hardware Corporate in San Francisco and then got recruited to Fossil in Dallas. So my 9 to 5 is still really creative. It's still working a lot with my hands and something fun and just different. But it's a different type of creative, obviously. But That's my 9 to 5. And all of my coworkers follow Abby's Appetite. They're all very supportive of it.
Right.
And a lot of them actually, it's funny, they go to a restaurant that I haven't been to, they'll film it for me. So I've been doing like coworker takeovers on Abby's Appetite now.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I
they're
did see
all
one of
really,
them.
yeah, so they're supportive and sweet. And yeah, that's my 9 to 5, something creative and fun. And I'm very lucky that I love what I do.
Well, that's cool. So, I mean, it's a side hustle, but what's the goal with it? Are you just having fun with it, or is this something that you monetize?
I mean, the goal would definitely be to monetize. I've been at it for so long. So
Mhm.
the goal would definitely be to monetize, but at the same time, I really love having it not be a job and just having it be
Right.
something really fun. So I think the ultimate goal would be, oh, if a restaurant messaged me in Dallas, was like, we just opened, come have a meal on us, and I post about it on my own time
Yeah.
and whatever. I think that would be a great situation, but I don't ever see myself leaving a full-time job to pursue this. I mean, that would be like dream world, but I really love having it be a hobby that I'm passionate about. So if it turns into be able to be like a monetized hobby, that would be the cherry on top. But I think the
Yeah.
goal would just be working with restaurants more hands-on, probably.
And how do you monetize something like this with like advertising on your site or people sponsoring your site and restaurants and
It's funny, I was actually having this full conversation with Bailey, his daughter, like last week, because I
yeah,
was talking to her and I was like, Bailey, how do I take this to the next level? I need your
sure.
tips. And because that's obviously her bread and butter. But I think with that, it would really be, yeah, just having Bailey was calling it user generated content where I could reach out to a restaurant and say, hey, I'll film something for you and you can have the clips and just kind of tag me as credit and the meal will be paid for or something like that. Or even there are a lot of brands because I post what I cook too because I love to cook.
Right.
So if I use something specific like a certain hot sauce or a certain bread, I'll always tag them and then like the brand will always pretty much respond and say thank you. So something like that too, of just if it's
Mhm.
a product I use in my daily life, if they send something or if I had a sponsored video, like that would be so cool. So I think that would be the next step with monetizing.
Well, it's super cool. And I mean, and I talk to Bailey about this all the time. You guys have opportunities within social media today that didn't exist, say, when I was your age. Like
Yeah.
social media didn't literally did not exist. So the world is your oyster, as they say, and you really can write your own ticket.
Mhm.
What does what kind of time does this take for you on the daily?
I mean, it depends on what I'm making. So if I'm cooking something, the cooking takes the longest because I am actually making something. So that can take me 30 to 40 minutes because I'm just filming the whole process of cooking a certain meal. And then editing it doesn't take me that long. So it can take me like 20 minutes to get it all down to the voiceover, the caption, things like that. But then if I'm at a restaurant actually filming it, I just film it as it comes out. And then they're much shorter clips. So that doesn't take me that long. So daily, I would say I probably spend like 20 minutes or less on editing
Yeah.
videos. I try to every Sunday plan out what I'm going to post, edit them all in one fell swoop, like write out all the captions. So then I'm just set up for the week and I don't have to think
Okay.
about it. Um, so that's typically kind of my formula, but it doesn't
Yeah.
take away from my life, which I think is the beauty of the new
Right.
social media is like we have these bite-sized clips. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute video.
Right.
Um, so it makes it easier that things are just digestible now since they're so small.
Have you thought about refiring up YouTube on this?
I have, and it's actually funny because a lot of the people that used to follow my YouTube follow my food Instagram, and I'll
Hmm.
still get messages from them. I actually got a message from a girl last week being like, "I still miss your YouTube videos. You should really bring this to your YouTube channel." Because I think when I quit, I had like almost 10,000 followers. I had a pretty good following,
Yeah.
um, but I just kind of outgrew it, and
Yep.
so I have thought about bringing it back or at least posting my reels on there so that my followers, if they're still subscribed to me, can see what I'm doing and get
Right.
back in touch with me. So I have thought about it, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
It's a lot of work, you know?
Yeah.
You ever feel like annoying content person when you're out in public? I do that. It's like, oh, I gotta hang on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
film that.
definitely. I
Yeah.
think my friends now are so used to it. Like, no one can touch the food until I've had my clip or they've taken my photo. So
Right.
everyone now knows that's kind of how it goes with me.
Yeah.
And I try to be really fast about it. But I think one of my other friend Bailey, not your child, but my
Yeah.
other friend Bailey, she's really not into the camera, and we're always together, so I'm always filming, and I know she's always like, can we just have a break? Like, this is a lot.
Right.
But it's a passion.
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think you're wise to keep it there until it isn't, so to speak. They say that
Yeah,
if you find something that you love and make it your work, you never work another day in your life, right? But
totally.
it also can help you, can make you hate what you loved,
Yeah. Well,
right?
I'm definitely someone that I'm so self-aware of the fact that I spend so much time on my phone. Like, I really do love Instagram. I
Yeah.
love TikTok. And sometimes I find myself spending way too much time on it. And so I like the fact that since it isn't my job, I can delete the apps and be like, okay, I'm going on a 2-week hiatus and I'm not going to look at it. Whereas I feel like if it was my job, I would never be able to detach and it would be all consuming. So I also like that aspect that I can get away from it if I want to.
Yeah, I mean, and there's like I was just talking with a coaching client today. There's LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. There's Threads if you want to do that. Facebook, YouTube. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but I mean, you can be out there, and I've tried that with my stuff, and it's like, you know, oh, whew, how do you do that? Oh, hit this one that'll
Yeah.
share to that, and all of a sudden you just it's chaos, and it can be overwhelming, right? It
Yeah.
sounds like you've got it at a very like a super manageable level.
Well, yeah, I think because it's just a hobby of mine,
Yeah,
I want to have that brand outreach if I could. If I grew to a certain point and people started reaching out, I would love that. But again, because it's just so small right now and it is just something fun for me, I can walk away if I'm like over it for a period of time or
right,
if every single January for the last probably I think almost 5 years, I've taken the whole month of January off of social media and I just delete everything to like get my head straight for the new year. And I feel like
nice,
if I actually had to be paying my bills with what my income from social, there's no way I could take a month vacation.
right.
So it is nice that I have that option.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It seems like you have it in a really cool place.
Yeah.
What was I going to say about YouTube? I've heard that YouTube Shorts are really hot right now for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think it's just there. I've noticed a lot of the people that I follow on TikTok have started making YouTube channels. They do think
Mm,
people still like that longer form content, and there is something there. I still watch a lot of YouTubers that I've followed for forever, but now I've noticed that on their channels, they'll have their long form content, but then also stuff on shorts that it seems like just a video that they edited for TikTok, they also upload to their YouTube channel so they can
right.
feed both audiences. So it is interesting that I feel like TikTok took off and then YouTube adapted the short form and so
Right.
did Instagram. And I think even Facebook now has little like reels and everything.
Yeah.
So I feel like as our attention span gets shorter as a society, like everyone's trying to adapt to
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, I got to ask. I hadn't really planned on talking YouTube with you, but um, I haven't chatted with someone that's grown a YouTube channel to 10,000 followers. So if there's someone watching this, they say, how do I do that? What are the first couple things you would do if you're going to try to grow a YouTube channel? I've
Oh
got
my
200
gosh.
followers
Okay,
or
well,
subscribers.
I started it way back in the day. I started
Yep.
it, I think when I was in seventh grade. I
For
was really
years.
young.
Yep.
And it was definitely kind of still just the same as Abby's appetite of just a passion project. I really was
Yep.
interested in fashion and makeup when I was younger, and that was really what I started with. And I guess my biggest piece of advice would be like find your passion. And I think if you're talking about something, even if you think it's oversaturated, there's still a place for you because no one
Sure.
is like you. So if you have a different perspective or if you have a different voice or something, talking about
Yeah.
something that you're really interested in, just being organic, I think you can naturally grow. But then also, I think because I was so young, there was also a market for that of girls my age. I didn't have a ton of money to be spending like all this money on designer bags or like nice makeup. And
Yeah.
so I think people that were also my age that were buying stuff off their babysitting money liked watching my videos. Like, okay, she just bought this for $40. I can go to Target and get this for also $40 and have like a whole new look for
Right.
school kind of thing. So I think that was kind of I was relatable at that age.
Sure.
So I guess I would just find, yeah, your niche and then just talk about it and make it. I think the beauty of YouTube is you can upload like a 30-minute video and someone will watch it. So you can really just talk about whatever you want for however long you want.
Yeah. And you can take it whatever direction you want. Hang on. I think we might have a visitor.
Oh my
Come on
gosh,
over
do
here.
we? My girlfriend.
Yeah, this is fun, huh? So, for those of you guys watching, these guys hang out in Dallas, and Bailey's here in Maine with me, and
My bestie girl.
yeah, so they help one another and pick one another up on work and social and all that. So I said, let's get her on the podcast and see if we can get her a few more followers. So
Here we
yeah,
are.
so we're gonna get Bailey on next at some
Yes.
point, talk about what she's doing on social, and
Queen of it.
so this is awesome. So I kind of prepped you for this question before, and you joined my Edge free group, and I always ask everybody, what's your edge? Like what makes you tick? You're doing extra. It's not that like the 9 to 5 is not just like good enough for you, right? You're
Yeah.
like me that way. Like, hey, there's a bunch of other hours in the day here. What can I do?
Yeah.
So you're obviously a hard driver. You're out grinding. You're wanting to get stuff done. What's your edge?
I really love the question when you asked me before we started for me to be thinking about it. I really do love it. But I honestly think my edge is I'm just a really positive person. I think that because of I am very positive, it gets me through a lot of my 9 to 5 of just like having fun with it. And I also with just Abby's appetite, I think I'm always just like very optimistic, almost to a fault of just assuming everything is going to be just fine. And so I feel like that's my edge of just loving life truly and having so much
Yeah,
fun while I'm here. And I feel like I've learned so many lessons last year of just life is so short that it's a party and have fun while you're here. And I try to really implement that in my daily life. So I think Bailey could probably attest that I do. So I think that would be my edge. It's just that I'm so positive, almost like to a fault.
you're wise beyond your years. I can tell you that.
Oh, thank you.
You're enjoying life, and you're keeping stuff in perspective.
Yeah.
You're not overdoing it. Sometimes maybe this stuff is overwhelmed, but like you said, you're not afraid to just shelf it
Yeah.
and just be like, hey, it's fine. It's all good. So, well, cool. What would you say to somebody that wanted to maybe have a side hustle, or thinking about that YouTube channel or that Instagram thing where they're like, I want to post, but I'm a little shy, or I don't, how did you get by that? And so with some of my clients, I have to do that too. Like, frankly, giving a shit what people think, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
was that hard for you, or did you just say like, hey, I don't care?
I mean, yes and no. I feel like from my YouTube days, I had so many people from my high school that I wasn't even friends with that I knew would watch my channel. So I kind of had that of like I don't really care attitude from that, which is why I just started
Right.
Abby's Appetite and just loved it. But I think so it is something I mean, I still will think even Bailey the other day was like, you should post about Abby's Appetite on your main Instagram. And I was like, really? I feel like that's kind of weird. And then I did it anyways, because I was like, really, it's really not that deep. But I guess my advice would be just start. And if someone thinks it's weird, that says a lot more about them than it does about you. Because if you're just having fun and you're have a passion and you want to share it with the world and share what you know, like even if you don't have that many followers to start, you're going to be having so much fun doing it. And chances are that person that's maybe making fun probably wants to do the same thing and is too scared and is just envious. So I
Yeah,
think the hardest thing to do is just start. And after that, who cares? You can laugh your way to the bank. It'll be great.
just doing the thing, right?
Yeah,
I was listening. It might have been a podcast, maybe an Ed Milet or something that I listened to the other day. It was like people are always on the hunt. Like, you're very specific,
totally.
you're what you're looking for, but don't worry about that. Just do the thing. Like, it's all
Yeah,
more so about the process, right, than getting
yeah,
to the point. Right? Like, you don't
yeah,
really even you. I'm not hearing it. Maybe you have it, but I'm not hearing an end point to this, or like, hey, I'd really like to. I'm doing this so that I can monetize it and make seven
yeah,
figures. I didn't hear that. I
yeah,
hear I like it. I'm loving it. I didn't even share it on my own page yet, or you have now.
yeah,
Oh, you hadn't. So good for you.
yeah.
As we wrap up here, I always like to ask people, like, what would you like people to know? Like, this is your first podcast, okay? I didn't prep you for this question, okay?
Okay.
What would you like people to know? You say, hey, if I was on a podcast, and people in your generation or mine, you've got, like I said, you seem to be wise beyond your years. You got a great perspective. Super
Thank you.
psyched you and Bailey are hanging out. But
Yeah.
what is it? Let's pretend this was, on the nightly news. What would you like to say to people?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. I mean, I feel like, again, it kind of goes back to, I feel like life is just too short. Have so much fun. And I feel like I spent a lot of time feeling like I was maybe behind and feeling like, oh, maybe I'm behind in my career, behind in my savings goals, or like just
Right.
anything, feeling behind. And I think once you accept that you're just exactly where you need to be and you should just have so much fun and enjoy the ride, like as long as you're healthy and you have a roof over your head and your belly is full, like you're doing just fine. So I guess that would be my main message is like don't play the comparison game. It can get so dark so fast, and that is the darkness of social media. Is it's so easily accessible to see, well, this person's my age and they have a house and a husband and 3 babies and a Chanel bag or whatever,
Yeah.
and here I am and I'm so sad or whatever. But I think once
Right.
you realize that you're exactly where you're meant to be, and life is happening for you and not against you, you're just going to be a much happier person. So that would, I guess, be my main takeaway, is just have so much fun. It's really not that deep. There's so many serious things in life, and like social media, your passion projects, it doesn't have to be that deep. It can just be for fun.
Love it. Love it. Well, this has been a great conversation. How do people get a hold of you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. At Abby's underscore appetite is my food Instagram. And my normal handle is at Abbey Hagen, ABBEYHAGAN. And that's where you can get a hold of me.
Abby's Appetite. This
Yes.
is cool. This has been fun. And I can't tell you as a dad how psyched I am to to know that 1,664 miles away, uh, Bailey has friends like you and
Oh,
the whole group. And I see stuff. She doesn't post a ton, but when she does it, it's so cool to see the group of friends, especially all you girls that are just tight,
yeah.
just a really tight knit group, and I love it. It makes me feel good because
Good.
when the shit hits the fan, so to speak, I got to get on a plane, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not easy
No,
to get to my girl,
I
and
get it.
so I know that you guys got her back, and I thank you for
Yeah.
that from the bottom of my heart. It's
No,
just
you're so sweet. She's the best. I mean, my parents are in Portland, Oregon, so my
yeah,
parents are also really far. And shit has hit the fan in the last year for me, and Bailey has been right there so
yeah,
fast. And
yeah.
so we're all just so lucky to have each other. We're really,
Cool.
really lucky.
Well, between you and I want to get her on here to talk about what she's
She's
doing
got
with
to.
social media. She said to me,
Yeah.
I don't know. Get her on here. So,
No, I'll encourage her. She's the wisest, so she's got to go on.
yeah. Well, listen, I was going to say, listen, kid, but I'm not going to say that. Listen, this has been great. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming on. I hope this helps you in some way. Uh,
Yes, I this was
more
so much fun.
followers.
I loved it.
Yeah. And who knows where this will go, but for now, you're having a good time with it and you got in a good spot. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to come on the Summit podcast and chat with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so great to virtually meet you, and hopefully I'll see you in person soon.
For sure. I think Wendy and I are probably coming out. I think Bailey's working on getting us finding some tickets for this fall. So,
Oh my,
we'll-
I was going to say, hopefully in the fall so you don't
oh
melt,
yeah,
but
yeah. I don't do well in the heat. So,
yeah, rough. But okay,
great.
well, I'll talk to you later.
Abby, thanks. Hang around a minute. Guys, this
Okay.
has been the Summit podcast. Abby Hagen, she's out in Dallas, Texas, killing it with her Abby's Appetite. Check her out on Instagram. And we'll put some stuff in the show notes for you as well. So, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. Take care.